Hello, Thunder Wizards. Okay, so got a little bit of protein drink on my lip there. All right, so what I'm going to do right now is something that is going to be kind of interesting. So, a while back, a few days, maybe almost a week, maybe 5 days ago, uh, the the guy from Higher Vibration YouTube channel podcast, Jonxarmy. He did an interview with me, and I'm really appreciative of that. And that went up on his channel already. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to live stream that. It makes it easier for me to just simply, um, stream the recorded video on a live stream. It just makes it a lot easier for me. So. Um, those people that come on while this is going on, the interview has already taken place. But if there are people still on after I'm done with the video, I will answer questions if there are any questions to be had. But until then, I'm just going to let the interview roll the way that it rolled when it did, and yeah, you can check him out again. His YouTube channel is Higher Vibration, and he goes by the name of Jonxarmy. Anyway, I found it very interesting, and I'm very appreciative of him taking the time to interview me and share me with his channel. So I'll share you on my channel, and hopefully we'll do more cross interviews with each other. So anyway, here it comes. This is my recent interview with Jonxarmy. He had a lot of questions about runes, and I do what I do, and he asked me questions, and I just launch into, whatever it is that I launch into. And anyway, I had a great time. Anyway, here's the interview, and I'll check in later when the interview's over and see if there are any questions, and if so, I'll go ahead and answer them. All right, here it comes. I am Mahadeva, the Thunder Wizard, also known as Michael William Denney. I have a YouTube channel, which is ThunderWizard.com, ThunderWizard, DOTCOM, if anybody wants to go looking for me on YouTube. In a nutshell, it's hard for me to describe myself. I've been studying, practicing, and teaching esoteric spirituality all of my adult life. I started out, as many people do, in the Abrahamic religions as a born-again Christian, and then walked away from that as a young man and got involved with Taoist, which is the shamanic religion of China. I got involved with Taoist esoteric martial arts, energy work, and meditation and Qigong, things that were described to me as being able to change the body so you could become an immortal. My teachers had amazing abilities, far beyond those of mortal men. And then I expanded into studying African shamanic drumming, and I currently do also teach that as well. And then about 10 years ago, I ran into some difficulties with my Taoist teachers, because even though they were highly advanced energetically and spiritually, they're still human. And so we had a falling out, and I got kicked out of the sect, which was really quite distressing for me, because I was on the verge of making some real progress, and I had wanted to move up. So long story short is that one day I was out walking in the woods. I lived in Idaho at the time, and I was walking in the woods. And I didn't know where to go. And I had all these things I wanted to learn. And so I said to the universe, I said, listen, you guys called me to this path of the shaman. This wasn't my idea. And now that opportunity has closed its doors on me. So if you guys want to teach me, it's up to you. I'm done, scraping. And then for some reason, I just got this. I mean, it was just an afterthought. I didn't really intend on saying this, but I said, and if there's any ascended masters out there of my own ethnic tradition that want to teach me, I'm open to learning from you. I didn't even know why I said it, but it just came out. And then as soon as I said it, I felt this power come around me. And then I felt, it wasn't like I heard a voice or anything, but I felt this question that came to me and said, are you sure? Now, when I teach the Taoist esoteric spirit fighting, which is an energy practice and a shamanic martial art that's not only used for physical self-defense, but it's for actually cleansing places of negative energy. You go in and fight demons with your bare hand, kind of thing.
Yeah.
When I teach people that, I sit them down and I say, so I just want to make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into, because when you start to learn this, all kinds of crazy things are going to happen, and you're going to have to face your worst fears, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so when some spiritual essence around me says, are you sure? I know what that means. So I knew that there was something very real, and I had asked, please, if you're out there, please teach me. So of course I said, yes, I'm sure. And then I felt this energy say, okay, hang on. And then whew, it was gone. And, I thought, wow, that was interesting. I didn't know if I had made it up. I always tend to downplay any spiritual experience I have, because it's so easy to get deluded in your own craziness, right?
Yeah, definitely.
So I didn't put anything to it. I said, well, that was interesting. And then I let it go. But then what started to happen is I was getting, over the next months, I would get these downloads. They were like huge, what's the word I want to use? What is it on your computer when you get a bunch of files put together in one thing? What is that?
A packet, a folder?
Yeah. You get like this, anyway, there's a word for it, but it's like I was just getting downloaded these huge concentrated chunks of knowledge.
And then you grow into
it. I'm sorry, what?
And then you grow into it, and it
exploded inside of me, and I would have an intuitive understanding. Like I would see how all these different spiritual sciences came together. I wouldn't be able to verbalize it because it was so intense and so deep. And so what ended up happening is then I started writing a bunch of books. So if people go on to my website, which is, you can go on to ThunderWizard.com or MichaelWilliamDenney.com, and you can see all my books. But I just started writing book after book after book, because I had to be able to unpack the information so I could understand it. And I'd start with, like, I was going to write one book. And then that one book, as I started putting notes, I realized, oh my God, there's 5 or 6 books here.
Yeah.
And so I just got all these books and all these DVDs out of my system and started teaching it. So that's where I'm at now. I'm teaching a syncretic understanding of spirituality, and finding that the Norse pre-Christian tradition, the Taoist tradition of China, the Vedic tradition. I'm also a Vedic astrologer, and I teach mantra and that kind of stuff. When you start looking at the mythology, you start to find out that there is a coherence of all of these things, and there's no way that all of these traditions could have, gotten together and figured things out. So either we're dealing with a science, and you have scientists all over the world, and we call them shamans, who are getting these downloads on how the universe works, how energy works, what goes on with the different directions, the idea that there's 9 levels of reality that my ancestors called the 9 worlds, that we have these 3 major centers in the body, that my ancestors called Odin, Vili, and Ve, that the Taoists call the 3 pure ones, or the 3 dantians. And when I started looking at all this and putting it together, I realized that there was a science behind all of it, and that this was an opportunity to syncretize all of the science of this that worked. And when I did that, it became much more powerful for me. and it answered all kinds of questions. And so that's really what I'm doing. I mean, I spend a lot of time, talking with people and answering questions, and I can be a real pain in the rear end because I tend to go towards what people are really trying to say as opposed to what they think they're asking. But outside of that, what I've tried to do is
let me jump in. Watching your
sure,
video,
go ahead.
I love it. It's no bullshit. You know what I mean? And I like it, and it's good. And as soon as I saw your channel, I started poking your brain about serpents and crazy stuff. Because
Yeah.
look, here's what happened to me. I have this popular channel. I did have like 250,000 subscribers. Conspiracy theories. So you know what I mean? When there wasn't no good news, we push BS. And the money's great, 20 grand a month on YouTube, and I'm just shoveling out the bullshit, you know what I'm saying? And then I took magic mushrooms, and then I took DMT. And when I took them, I realized there was something more than just the reality I was living in. So I started following Sadhguru. He's like an Indian yogi.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one day I was actually here in this chair. I was chanting. He does a thing where you cover your right nostril and you inhale deeply, and then with your exhale you say Shambho, which is like Shiva.
Mm-hmm.
And I did that chant for hours, and all of a sudden there was an explosion of light above my head, and I felt like the whole universe came into my forehead. And the only thing I can think that happened is my Kundalini rose and my third eye opened. And since then, I've been doing chants and meditation an hour a day, but maybe once a week I'll go all day. And I don't know how to explain it. Since that happened, like I'm able to meditate with a crystal, and after a while see little rays of light coming off it. You know what I mean? Or like, so it changed my whole life. And I realized that the conspiracy theories, as much as we were sharing information that made the world worse. It kept people stuck and afraid. And when that happened to me, as it was happening, it was like, let go of all the fear right now, or nothing's going to happen. I had to literally in my mind be like, okay, if I never see my family again, if I die right now, I accept it. And boom, light came into my body. I was sick, puking and diarrhea like black shit for a week after. And I feel like it was a purge from whatever new level of consciousness I had reached. I was granted like a rebirth, like another life. And I came back and changed my channel, and everybody like, absolutely, oh my God, he's sold out. And I made all these videos like, you guys, I'm trying to tell you, us talking about the FEMA camps and the population control, it's like instilling fear inside people's brain so that they can't experience this. Like it makes it impossible.
Yeah.
And I'll just be blunt here. When I seen a few scary things when that happened, and I ran to Christianity and gave my life to Jesus. And then I went back to meditating, and I realized what I saw. That scary shit, those demons, they were me.
Yeah.
I saw myself manifested. I saw the evil, ugly, scary, you know what I mean? And so, Jesus was great. And I think that Jesus was an enlightened being. And I think they've took Jesus and completely made it into a false religion. They've hid. He was doing what you're doing, energy work. You know what I mean? Freeing people, healing people. So yeah, now I'm full blown like Sadhguru, meditation, chants, crystals, and I saw you were into something called runes.
Yes.
And I wanted to pick your brain on the runes. What are those?
Yeah. Well, sorry, it's like I got to unpack the whole thing again. How to say it? Well, so if you Google what runes are, you're going to find all kinds of stuff. Historical understanding is that runes are the written alphabet of the pre-Christian Germanic people of Northwestern Europe. I have a book. I have 3 books on runes and a bunch of DVDs and videos and stuff like that. But my first book was what came to me after what I just shared with you when I said, teach me. And I had this intuitive understanding of what the runes were. And so that book is called Rune Shamanism. And it is my belief that the runes, they are the alphabet. That's true. They are the alphabet, and they are the physical representations of the Germanic alphabet. Now, what's interesting about that, again, if you go into a university or something and you ask, what are the runes? They're going to say, oh, well, the pre-Christian Germanic tribes, they were very primitive. They were, uneducated, and so these mercenaries went down somewhere to Rome or wherever, and they saw these guys writing and using an alphabet, so they tried to copy that, and they brought it back to Germania. Now, Germania was filled with a bunch of unconnected tribes that were warring with each other. There was, they spoke a common language and had a common religion and ethnic history and all that, but they weren't like this unified country, Mm-hmm. And by the way, in case people don't know, Germanic means English, Scandinavia, French people were originally Germanic. Obviously, people from Germany and all that kind of stuff. So that is a whole language group. I'm not just talking about a country, in case people are wondering. So all of that is pure conjecture. One of the biggest things that is interesting is that if they had wanted to copy the idea of an alphabet, they would have simply taken the alphabet that the Romans were using or whoever that they were influenced by, and they would have used that. Now, everywhere in what was then the civilized world, the alphabets always are A, B, C, D, E, F, and G, even if it's like Greek or even Hebrew, alpha, beta, gamma, delta. The runes are totally different. They're F, U, T, H, A, R, K. That is a completely different sequence of letters. So that tells you that there was something different about them. Mm-hmm. And you had all of these undisciplined warring tribes, and they all used the same F-U-T-H-A-R-K. They all used that same progression. So if they were just trying to copy the Romans, this doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
So what came to me when I was meditating is that I realized that the origins of people in Europe is about 50,000 years old. And so what ended up happening is that modern humans first started coming into northern Europe about 50,000 years ago, and then the ice ages came in, and you had these giant glaciers that blocked off whole chunks of people. They all came in speaking one language. By the time they'd been isolated from each other for 40,000 years and the ice melts away, then you have the Germanic languages, the Celtic languages, the Slavic languages. Then you have all these different subgroups who speak a similar language.
Yeah.
So the Germanic people had taken their understanding of language, which was magical. You have to understand that in way back in Stone Age times, tens of thousands of years ago, speech was magical. Mm-hmm. You didn't speak something unless you were prepared to have that become manifest in the world.
Yeah.
Nowadays we don't. We just take it as just this like information that we pass to each other. But in the past, that wasn't the case. In fact, I remember way back when I was an actor, I had heard about a tribe in Africa. And when they wanted to chop a tree down, what they did is they just simply surrounded the tree and yelled at it. And the tree would die. And then they would, they'd then use that tree. Yeah. They still understood the power of speech and intention.
Yeah.
So this is what runes are. Runes are the building blocks of how you can take sound and use it to manifest. Now, people use runes for divination, which is perfectly fine. I do that as well. People chant runes. But what I believe happened is that before the advent of writing, what you would have is you have these hunter-gatherers who live in Ice Age times, and there's, like giant bears and giant, lions and,
Yeah.
deer with antlers that are 10 feet wide. They live in this really crazy world. And so what the hunters would do is they would teach their sons the 24 major principles of how the universe works. And so they would teach them a sound. So the first one would be Fehu. And the next one would be Uruj. And if you chant them, you start to feel these powers come into you.
Mm-hmm.
In fact, I can't even, I'm so sensitive to them that I can't even teach them. Like if I were to sit and talk to you about one of the runes for an hour, I would have to live with that it's not just some cute little thing for me. It's like the actual foundation of the universe.
You'd be out of body type deal is what you're saying. Like,
yeah, and it could be, if it's like the Yuhuaj rune, which is the middle rune, which is the shamanic rune of life to death. If I were to talk about that for an hour, then I would have to go through a shamanic rebirth, and it's not necessarily the funnest thing in the world. So I have a lot of respect for them. So people ask me, should I put runes on my body? I'm like, if you want to, you go ahead. I'm not going to play around with that.
Yeah.
Unless I'm dead serious about what I want from that rune. I'm not going to chant it. I'm not going to write it. So they're the building blocks underneath the actual matter that creates the universe. So when you're chanting them, you're actually going right into the very fabric of space-time. And while I'm on that subject, I can talk about what's called the Norns. So we have a word called weird. We use it all the time. What is it? W-I-E-R-D. I always misspell it. Weird. Wow, that's weird. Dude, you look weird. That was so weird. Weird, originally spelled W-Y-R-D, meant that which has been woven together. And it was, like in China, if you're looking for the one word of the universe, you would call it the Tao.
Mm-hmm.
In Vedic, they have the Om chant, which is, all of the universe come together. Our ancestors had this understanding of what they called the law of weird, the law of that which has been woven together. And so they saw the universe as this place where matter, thought, and energy comes together. And that there are three beings which they call giantesses, which means that these are powers beyond human comprehension. So they call them giantesses.
Mm-hmm.
Feminine, which is the power of creation. And there are three of them. And their names translate as origins, which we would call the past, the present, which they would call ever becoming now, or immediacy. Verdandi was her name. But it means that the now is just always happening, every split nanosecond, the ever unfolding now. And then the future, which they called debt, D-E-B-T. We walk around, we use the word karma, and it has the same kind of meaning. It means that you got to pay, not for what you do. This is where people miss this. What creates a debt in the future that you must live through is the result of not just your feelings, that's just a response, not just your thoughts, because thoughts can be random. It's your intentions, but more importantly, your beliefs. Now, people need to understand that beliefs are things that you choose. You choose to believe them every second. You're a born-again Christian. You choose to believe that Jesus died for your sins. You keep choosing to believe that. In fact, especially if you're a Christian, that's why you go to church all the time, because they have to keep pounding into you that religion. And, or, you're sinful, God wants to throw you in hell, you have to believe, you have to keep getting pounded with that in order to keep that, because otherwise it keeps falling out of your head, because real life doesn't support that.
When I came back from that awakening, I felt that was evil. I mean, to speak blunt, I looked at it like these people are evil, like on accident or unknowingly, you know what I mean? But I'm sorry.
Well, I do want to address that. because you're right. But so, and you mentioned conspiracy theories, and I gathered from what you said that you had. I mean, I'm listening to you like, what, you're making how much money a month?
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
but what you were doing is you were, even though you yourself were honestly believing it, what you were
Yeah.
doing is you were co-signing people's programming, which
Mm-hmm.
people are programmed to be frightened. They're programmed to be victims. And this is the ironic thing about the vast majority of conspiracy. I'm not saying there aren't conspiracies out there. Don't get me wrong. They're out there. But one of the biggest conspiracies that people don't realize is that conspiracy theories are, in fact, psyops that are used to control the population to keep them weak. While people are running around spending, you know, pick your favorite conspiracy theory, while people are running around in groups thinking that they're above reality talking about it, they're just being controlled and manipulated by that.
Yeah.
You know, and you saw that, you know, the
It's like
greatest
Christianity. The conspiracy theories were doing the same thing that you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was just complete fear-based mind control.
I could, yeah, if we start talking about that, we'll be here all day. So I won't
Yeah.
get on that. But yeah, so to believe in anything, whatever it is you choose to believe, that is actually something that creates matter in the universe. And then you have to live it out. So if you choose to believe you're a victim, guess what's going to happen? You will be a victim. Just because you sit around talking about, yes, and we're being victimized, we're above it now because we see it. No, you're still creating it every time you reinforce that. Because here's the thing that people don't understand. You create everything. There isn't a God up there sitting on a cloud. You are that God. Now, you had an experience with Shiva. Shiva is nothing more than your highest awareness that you've projected out into the universe. You tapped into your own highest awareness. You brought yourself up to your own highest level. You know, there's a mantra, Shivoham, which means I am Shiva. They wouldn't have that mantra if it weren't true.
Yeah.
You are Shiva. So that means everything. Right now I'm in Australia and I'm looking up my window and the sun is shining and looking at the ocean and the beautiful trees and the strange looking birds and all that. That's all my creation. I have projected that into my reality. Of course, I'm not consciously aware of that.
Yeah.
But that's the reality. So if whatever you focus on and choose to believe, that's what you're going to create. You believe that aliens implant you with chakras? It's true because you chose to believe it.
Yeah.
You believe that that the devil wants to take you down to hell and punish you forever. Well, that can happen. You chose to believe it. It's a creation, and so karma, debt, is a result of the things that you choose to invest your energy in, which starts first with beliefs. Then comes actions, because we don't act except for what we choose to believe in. If I choose to believe that I can fly or that I can float, and I walk off, there's a cliff over here in front of the ocean. If I choose to walk off that cliff, I'm going to have to pay the price for that action, which is based on my belief that I have the ability to fly. So, see what I mean? So, getting back to the runes are the 24. If you were to take this whole law of the idea that you create your reality, that you yourself are God, and if you were to then take that power to create, which one of the most powerful, that's the reason why, you know, in spiritual writings it says, you know, God spoke.
Yeah.
Telling you something. That's even true in Norse mythology. They talk about that the first being to come into existence, his name was something Yeller. You know, he who yelled, meaning that he creates with sound, with voice. I forget what it is in Old Norse. Anyway, but you get where I'm going with it. So past, present, and future. So to get back to the Norns and space-time. Space-time is a good word because without space you can't have time. Time is the result of space, past, present, and future. There is no past, there is no future, there is only the ever unfolding now. But in this now moment, when you choose to believe something, you create a story. That story then automatically becomes lodged in your origins, your past. That past then dictates what you're going to say and what you're going to do, which creates your future, which you must endure. So if you can live in this present moment, live in that emptiness, live in the void of your eternal power, then you can create everything. So the runes are the 24 sound principles that you can tap into in the present moment to completely recreate your whole reality, or create your whole reality. So you asked me about runes, and so there. That's what I mean. So you asked me a question.
I got more questions about them. Yeah, I'm sure. Wonderful. But what you just sparked in my mind is obviously you've been to the present moment, as have I, and I can't describe it. People think I'm insane, and I say to them, in the present moment, there's no New York, there's no Florida. My dog, who's in the room, ain't there anymore. My children, where are they? Nobody's there. There's nothing there. And I came back from the present moment the first time from meditation, telling people, well, this is all a simulation. None of this shit even exists. I'm telling them on the YouTube channel, I'm like, there's nothing there. Like my wife isn't there, my dog isn't there, and everything's gone when you get to the present moment. Like all sounds are gone. The air conditioner, it's no longer running. I just wanted to throw that in there. People they can't understand what I'm saying. They think I've lost my mind.
So this is where ego comes in. So I'm using ego. Actually, there's nothing wrong with ego. Ego is just the Latin word. It means I, I.
Yeah.
You can't exist in three-dimensional reality without having an ego. It's actually, when people say, oh, he's so egotistical, or he has such a big ego, what they really mean is that the person doesn't have an ego. They're insecure. Mm-hmm. So it's two sides of the same coin. You're either a doormat, or you're, you're full of yourself. But it means that you don't have an ego. An actual ego means that you have this balance, and you understand that, yes, right now I'm choosing to be this limited individual so I can experience this virtual reality we call life, But, so I'm using the word ego. This is where ego comes in. The reason why, and again, people don't understand what it means to be free of ego. They don't understand that. But to get to the place where you have no ego means that you don't create a story.
Mm-hmm. It's emptiness.
When you're in that emptiness, you're not creating a story. I am this, I do that, aliens exist and they implant me with chakras, and God is punishing me, or the devil's coming after me, or the elite are out to steal all of my money. That's a story.
Yeah.
Once you make that story, then that creates a future that you have to live out. So you think about it. I mean, why are there people in the world who are just constantly, battered with bad luck and poverty and illness, and no matter what they do, they can't get out of it? And then there are people that just seem to cruise through life. They make however much money they want to make. They do whatever the hell they want to do. Why is that? If you talk to them, you'll find out what their story is. And the people who have a story, which is again a choice, you choose to believe this about yourself on the deepest level. It sounds really superficial when I say it, but we have three minds. We have a conscious, an unconscious, and a subconscious. So in the conscious mind, you can't just say, okay, I'm going to be this now. It has to be your whole being. If your whole being isn't there, then it's just all talk. But I forgot what I was saying. So you create your story with your choosing to believe whatever it is you choose to believe. And then that's going to create your reality. So in order to change your reality, the person who's constantly being in poverty, illness, chaos, misery, if that person has the ability to go back to that place of emptiness,
mm-hmm.
to own, to say, wow, I did this for this reason or that reason, and they can let go. Like what you talked about was exactly what I'm trying to describe here. You went to that place. Now, for you, what you were attached to was, I heard you mention your family, your physical life.
Yeah.
I'm willing to die. I'm willing to let go of my family. That's because that's your story. You had created that story.
Mm-hmm.
And so that was your life, your ego. Your
Yeah.
true ego is what you identify with.
So I had to let that go to get back to source. I
It
get
was like you, yeah, it was like you wiped the hard drive clean and you said, okay, I don't have any story.
it. Yeah.
I am everything and nothing. And then, like you said, there was nothing there. There was no family. That's because it was in that moment, all of those things, including me, people watching me, you created me. If you're
Yeah.
listening to what I'm saying and it's touching something inside of you, it's because you created me to be here right now to tell you what you already knew. I'm not saying anything you don't already know. You went back to that emptiness,
Yeah.
and in that emptiness, they were all inside of you. They were all part of you. When you came back to this reality, they came out of you and reformed and came into your outward reality. And you experience it as they have real existence. The ego
Yeah.
of I am this, I am that, you are this, you are that, it can serve you if, like people who do really well, they have an ego, they have a reality that says, you know what? Life is really great and I can do anything I want if I put my mind to it. And yep, we run into problems, but I just pick myself up. Listen to Arnold Schwarzenegger, the way he talks. Yeah, I just pick myself up. Every time I'm lifting that weight, it's like I'm one step closer to becoming Mr. Olympia. Whereas you talk to somebody else, they're like, yeah, but you realize how long that takes and how much work it takes to become Mr. Olympia. And I just don't have the money for that. And well, you're creating that
Yeah.
reality. Go enjoy it. Anyway, I can tell you're wanting to jump in here, so go ahead.
Well, I wanna jump back on the runes, but I want to say one other thing. I was telling my friends at the present moment, I was like, I can open that door and walk out into any life I want. And then I thought, I love I love my life. I'm gonna go sit down at the table with my daughter. I can't think of a better, like I can't think of a better eternity than this. Like going down there with
Yeah.
my daughter next, and I walked out and back into my life. You know what I mean?
Yep.
But
Yep.
on the runes, so because I'm gonna get into runes, I think they're amazing from what I think I know about them. So I've got on my neck a piece of moldavite, right? And it's a tektite. It's known to be high vibrational, and it's good to pull forth your own BS so you can fix it. If I have this right, there's probably a rune that does that too, right? Like I could find a rune and draw it and chant it, and it would probably have a similar effect and not cost $2,000.
Well, yes. The short answer is yes. And again, I'm only coming from my limited understanding, because that's the thing. The runes are infinite. Anybody who says that they've mastered runes or knows everything about them is either deluded or lying or both. Because we're talking about the infinite, and that's the thing. It's the runes take this infinity of space-time and then condense it down into one aspect of that infinite space-time. But yes, and I hesitate to say, oh, it's this rune, because everybody's different. Let's say, for example, somebody has issues with money and they think they want a lot of money. So I'll talk about the three minds. You've got your conscious mind, which is what's listening to me now. You've got your unconscious, it means you're not aware. It's like the 90% of your mind that functions and does everything, actually creates everything in your world. You're just not aware of it. Then you have your subconscious mind, which sits between the two. It has all of your information, like your birth date and stuff like that, but it's also the part of your mind you use to intend your reality. So those are the three minds. And if you've got, let's say, an issue with money, or not you, if somebody has an issue with money,
Yeah.
and on the conscious level, they're saying to themselves, I want to be rich, I want to be successful. If on an unconscious level, they have a belief which at some point in their life, they allowed themselves to be programmed, or they responded to something in their life which gave them a belief about money. They choose to then indulge in that belief, which then solidified it, created their story.
Mm-hmm.
That story is running a program 24/7 in their unconscious mind.
Yeah.
Money is no good, or whatever it is, whatever. If that program is running in their unconscious mind, if their conscious mind, they say, I want to be rich, the unconscious mind will veto that. Say, nope,
Yeah. Yeah.
you told me that isn't what you wanted. You wanted to not have money, so I'm going to veto that every time you say that.
Yeah.
So let's say somebody has that issue. They work with the rune Fehu. So Fehu has to do with resources. Money is energy. Money is not paper. It's not the zeros in your bank account. It is energy. And before people had money, they needed energy resources. And the easiest resource was these giant things we call cows now. But they would hunt those things down. You could milk out of it, meat, skin, bones, sinew. It was like the Walmart of prehistoric times. You could create, so it was a resource. So if you chant Fehu, you're chanting resources.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you have an issue about that, what is going to happen is you're going to go through all kinds of personal hell. Because as that comes to your awareness, the rune is going to go in there and it's going to take that issue of resources. And if you're attached to this idea of, oh, money is bad, then what's going to happen is it's going to take that apart.
Yeah.
Which means you're going to feel like you're dying. So this is, again, people, I want to be rich. Well, are you willing to die for that? Because you will have to die to your unconscious attachment to being poor.
Yeah.
And this is like you're saying, when you started coming out of that and you offered people freedom, you said, hey, man, I've got freedom here. You want to be free of all this stuff? People are like, oh, screw you. You've sold out. It's much more comfortable to be in that space of limitation. Yeah, to be programmed. I mean, it's lazy. So they're lazy. And I'm not judging them. It's just a fact. Because in order to let go of the idea that aliens are implanting chakras in your body, blah, 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 you're going to have to die to the safety and the comfort of what you believe you know about yourself and the world, because you've been there. When you go to emptiness, pure infinity, it can be really frightening because you have nothing. You had to let go of your family. So that was what was happening in you. What was your attachment came up to your awareness. Your experience was, I have to die to that. Mm-hmm. But the infinity of the universe wasn't doing anything. It was just like, oh, well, that's what you're attached to. Okay. Yeah. You're the one that brought that attachment into it. Yeah. So, people say, you don't understand. I've seen I've seen reptilians. I'm like, I know you have. I've seen them too. Mm-hmm. Doesn't change the fact that they came out of you. Yeah. Yeah. You projected them into your reality. The fact that you want to keep them in your reality is your problem, not mine. Yeah. Yeah. I haven't chosen to keep that. Anyway, go ahead. I can tell you want to talk.
Yeah. Another question. I definitely don't want to forget this. Do you believe raising the Kundalini is a thing? If so, have you done it?
Yes to both questions. The second question I say the second answer I say with a little bit of trepidation, because again, Kundalini is, from our experience, unlimited. So I don't want to make any claims that I can't, prove. So Kundalini, here's the thing. Kundalini is in the spinal column, and it's wrapped around the base of the spinal column, which is at the root chakra. And Kundalini is what makes us human. There's no other animal on the planet that has Kundalini. So it's the thing that allows you to progress beyond just being, an ape wearing clothes. Yeah. So the answer is yes, Kundalini does exist. And people need to understand there's a difference between Kundalini and life force energy. If you go on to wherever and you type in what is Kundalini, you're going to hear all kinds of people say, oh, Kundalini is the infinite life force energy. It's not. Yeah. Kundalini is a very specific word. The Vedics have another word, which is Kundalini, comes from the Vedic tradition. They have a word called prana, which means life force energy. It's the same word as chi in the Chinese. It literally means breath energy, life force energy, which is why breathing gets people, you can feel your life force energy increasing.
Yeah.
So Kundalini is not that. It can be stimulated by it, but that's not what it is. Kundalini is the part of you that is the physical, psychological aspect of being human. So I'm going to tell you something that a lot of people either don't know or don't want to hear.
Mm-hmm.
Having your Kundalini raised does not mean that you've achieved complete enlightenment.
Mm-hmm.
What it means is that you have achieved your full humanity,
Mm-hmm.
and that's different. So the Kundalini is directly associated with the chakras, and the Kundalini rises up the spine, and each time it rises up the spine, it hits a knot. And that knot has to do with your ego attachment at whatever chakra we're talking about. If it's at the root chakra, it means you have an ego attachment to physical reality, things, stuff, money, possessions. And when the Kundalini burns through that and rises through, then what ends up happening is that you have an awakening that, oh, life isn't all about money, all about things. Oh, I get it now. Now that chakra has, quote, opened.
Mm-hmm.
Kundalini will rise up to the second chakra, which is the sexual chakra, which has to do with superficial ideas of individuality. You know, when kids go through puberty, they start rebelling. They start dancing and rebelling and going out and screw you, mom. They're coming into their first superficial understanding of their own identity. They're breaking away from being, children dependent upon their parents. So what happens then is that you start to become mature sexually and understanding, oh, this is a power that I need to respect. I can't just throw it around and people aren't objects. Boom, now your second chakra is open. You're more creative. You're more understanding. You're empathetic. And so it goes on and on. This is what Kundalini is. So yes, it does exist. And I'd like to think I've experienced it.
Yeah, and it's so hard to try to explain. Like the way you were just saying it is really good. I've experienced something here and something in the root. And no, does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
I don't understand how. But I believe only my root has opened. I mean, obviously, I'm doing some weird stuff with my forehead and brain, but like while meditating, I literally saw like the root chakra, like close to the symbol, you know what I mean, open,
Yeah.
and had a huge experience. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And like the Vedas we're talking about, well, Sadhguru anyway, was like, yeah, when a person's Kundalini has actually risen all the way, unblocking things, by the time they get to the throat, they're doing things like walking on water and appearing and disappearing from one place to another, whether that's spiritually or physically. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So the Kundalini. So you're with it. It should be everybody's
Oh yeah.
chakra system.
Yeah, I mean, I used to teach Kundalini yoga for years, so yeah, I'm fully all about that. The other thing about Kundalini that I found interesting, and again, a lot of people don't realize, is that people want to have this idea of having their Kundalini rise and opening their crown chakra so they can achieve enlightenment or moksha or whatever it is, but that's only half the process. The other half is that once the Kundalini has come out of the crown, it then has to go all the way back down and hit to the root again. So true, like somebody who's like an ascended master who's walking the planet, you will never know. They will never tell you. They'll be the grandmother next door who's cooking you cookies and coming over, and they're just, you can sense they're nice. They're all about, now I've had this spiritual experience. I want to be human. I want to play. I want to play in this three-dimensional reality and have fun.
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you something about it. Enlightenment. Enlightenment is not that you believe this, but most people do. Enlightenment is not reaching a place where you no longer have problems and you live in bliss. That's not enlightenment. Enlightenment is that you have achieved all of your desires in this reality. Anybody, and I know there's people watching, a lot of people, anybody who says, I'm never coming back to this world, I'm never reincarnating, guaranteed they will reincarnate.
I've said that.
Yeah, so have I.
Yeah.
the people who aren't going to reincarnate are the people who go, I mean, yeah, I mean, I'll come back. I
Yeah.
don't care.
Yeah.
If they literally have no attachment. They like being here, but I don't need to be here. Anything less than that, it means that you haven't fulfilled all of your desires, and your ego, using that in that same way, your ego is trapped in some attachment, which is causing you pain. So when people say, I don't want to reincarnate, what they really mean is that they're in pain. They don't want to be in pain anymore.
Yeah.
The way not to be in pain is to do what you've done and have the understanding that you're the one that's attached to it. And as soon as you let it go, then you go into this place of infinity where none of those things exist. And then you choose, like you did. You chose to come back.
Yeah.
Not because you had to, but you said, wow, that would make me happy. I want to go spend time with my daughter. That is meaning that the Kundalini has opened, because now you're a full human.
Yeah.
The Kundalini is the interface between your soul and this physical reality. And the body is the avatar that we walk around in. But the Kundalini is like the software that allows the soul, which is infinite, to interact in a three-dimensional way and have fun.
Yeah. Yeah. And working the chakra system, like I believe, I'm going to say I believe, we don't know if this is true. Right now, when I close my eyes, I see mostly orange. So for me, I believe that means right now I'm living in the sacral chakra. And to me, like I'm trying to work each chakra. I'm trying to like move up, and telling my people, like, if you use the chakra system, like trying to unblock, activate, raise the Kundalini, and live, you know what I mean? Like by the time I progress past the sacral chakra and I'm living in the solar chakra, I should be a much better person. You know what I mean? Moving up
It's
like,
it's there's two ways of doing it. And reality is that if you achieve maturity in whatever the issue is surrounding the chakra, you will open the chakra. That's how the chakra opens, when you become mature. So sometimes we have to reverse engineer. So we do meditations, we do mantra, we do visualizations, we do chanting. Those vibrations, the colors, the vibrations, the shapes, the yantras will stimulate the individual to become more aware emotionally and psychologically about the issues associated with it. So if you can't just decide, I'm going to get mature about things having to do with the sacral chakra, then you have to have tools. So you use the shapes, you use the sounds, you use the meditation, you use the breathing. This is what it was all about. This is why this is what yoga is. Yoga means union. It doesn't mean going and stretching. That's only one half of it. Hatha yoga, which is to balance the two sides of the body, is what people do when they're doing the stretching and the breathing. But if you go to a yogi in India and you say, I want to learn, like a real yogi, I want to learn yoga, first thing they're going to do is teach you hatha yoga, and then they're going to start teaching you all these meditations and all these mantras and all these visualizations. Then they're going to start talking to you about letting go of your attachments in these areas, and then you're going to become more mature. So it's a science. But if somebody has the ability to just decide to become mature and conscious in those areas, the chakra will open by itself. I'm not saying I can do that. I've used all those things, and that's why they're there. They're a real gift. Because the other thing is the ego, which now I'm going to talk about the intellect. The intellect thinks that it needs to understand what it's doing, especially people in the West. Now, if you go to China, especially old school Chinese guy, and you say, I want to learn the Tao, they're not going to teach you anything verbally. They're going to say, go stand in the corner on your head or something like that. And if you ask why, they'll say, there's the door. Come back when you're ready to learn. In the West, we have to talk. We have to talk about things for hours so that the intellect goes, oh, I understand. I'm doing it for this reason and that reason. Okay, I'll do it now. So we need that. Those things help the ego to understand.
Wax on, wax off.
Yeah, right, right. Teach me how to fight. Yeah, okay, wax my
Right.
fence, paint my fence, wax my whatever. Yeah, that's exactly right. So I don't know
So,
what I said, but I'm done saying it.
all right, and if I want to get started in runes, what do you think? What do I do? Just Google runes or your book? Do you have a
Do not Google runes. Please, please don't do that. You will get such ridiculous nonsense. Well, obviously, I mean, this is my narcissism, but I mean, I think I'm the best place to go because I've
oh,
studied it. The one thing that people need to understand about runes is that runes is language. It's the original language. So let me go seemingly off topic and I'll come back again to the runes. If you want to really get deep into Vedic spirituality, like mantra understanding, you will learn about things that are called bija mantras or seed sounds. They're one syllable sounds that have tremendous power in them. Now, if you ask your typical Vedic master, what are bijas? They're going to say, oh, those are nonsense power syllables. They don't have any meaning, they just have power. That is absolutely false.
yeah.
What that tells you is that these seed sounds are so ancient that we don't remember what the translation of them is, what the meaning of them is.
Mm-hmm.
This is what runes are. Runes are the same thing. And I'll give you an example. Anyway, it's not coming to mind. I could come up with an example, but
Well, I got
anyway,
one.
yeah, go ahead.
Sadhguru says that even if a man's born without a tongue, he can say ah, which stimulates the bottom energy center. U stimulates the center chakras, and stimulates the upper. Kind of like that, right? Those are just
Yeah,
those three basic sounds. He says will get you further than speaking. If you just shut up and don't speak any
yeah,
and just use those three sounds, you're going to change your life.
yeah. Yeah, and that's what speech was. Speech wasn't let's figure out a way to communicate. It was an interaction with the energies of the universe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for instance, everywhere in the world, if you come to an awareness, you go, oh, everywhere in the world you have that same sound.
Yeah.
It just so happens that that happens to be the last rune in the in the Futhark, which is Othar. But
Mm-hmm.
the sound is oh. It is the culmination of all the other runes come together, meaning you have full enlightenment, full awareness, and you go, oh, I get it now, right? In Taoist understanding, that is the earth sound. So, and it's the sound of comprehension. To
Mm-hmm.
understand, to bring everything to earth means to comprehend. Everywhere in the world, when people comprehend things, they go, oh,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is what speech came from. It was an actual vibration that people had a connection to, and so you could go anywhere in the world if you put the right sounds together. People knew what you were saying.
Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is what the runes are. So to answer your question, yes, people should read my books. Go to michaelwilliamdenney.com, Denney. You'll see all of my books there, and start with those three books that I have. I also have rune certification courses. That is runecertification.thunderwizard.com. People
Okay.
can go there and they can study and get certified as a rune reader. That's
And
where I would go.
and I'm gonna put anybody watching this at a later date, I'm gonna have all his links in the description down below. And definitely make sure you go over and subscribe to his YouTube channel. I'll put that in there also. So I'm gonna put all those links down below.
Very good. Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah. So, but to get back, listen, the point I was making earlier is that runes are like seed sounds, in that even if people know what the runes are, there's so many people out there that have no idea what they're talking about. I mean, if you get your basic rune deck, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and you look at it and you look at the meanings, they're just all of these loose associations that have no common thread. They don't, you have to understand the language first. And
Mm-hmm.
so what I've done is I've researched all of the Proto-Germanic linguistic connections to each one of the runes. And then when you understand that, then you know what the runes mean and you can go beyond the symbolism,
Yeah.
right? So for instance, Kenaj. So kenaj looks like a C, and it means generally it means knowledge. So kenaj means knowledge. It also means torch. But the great thing is that little kids, even though we don't realize it, little kids carry the roots of our language. And so little kids won't say, may I please have a cookie? Little kids will say, can I have a cookie?
Mm-hmm.
And so you go, no, not can I, may I? But the word can actually has three meanings. It means, do you have the authority? So when kids say, can I have a cookie? They're asking, are you giving me authority to have a cookie? It means ability. Like, can you drive a car? Yes, I can
Mm-hmm.
physically drive a car. It means knowledge. Do you know how to drive a car? And then do you have a driver's license? Do you have authority? So it's authority, knowledge, and what was the other one I said? Ability. This is the kind of understanding that when I see the rune kenaj, I know that it's talking about those three things. So people, if they want to chant kenaj, they think, oh, I'm just chanting for knowledge. No, you're also chanting for authority. You're chanting for ability. And all of these things will come to you with that sound.
Yeah. Awesome.
Or, using that symbol somewhere.
Yeah. And are runes like, for example, I've meditated on symbols, like easy examples like the Sri yantra. And I've literally seen after a couple hours that there's like energy coming off of the symbols. Would you say runes are like that too? Like they're energetic symbols?
Yes. One of the reasons I don't recommend people, even there are supposed rune masters out there who I've learned a lot from, who still have a complete misunderstanding I won't get into reasons why, but the runes are not arbitrary. So one of the mistakes is that there are people out there teaching that the rune symbols, you have to load them or load the sound with your intention.
Mm-hmm.
And if you don't do it right, then it won't have the same intention for different people. And that to me is a misunderstanding of what the runes are. The runes are independent of our understanding. They contain power within themselves. And so I think that's the answer to your question. Yeah, you can treat them as deities. In fact, some of them are. The Tiwaj rune, the one that looks like a big T, that is the god Tiu, which means Sky Father. He was one of the original gods of the Indo-European people, the Sky Father. Ing, the rune Ing, which looks like a little diamond, that is actually the name of the sacred god of sacrificial fire in the Indo-European tradition. The Vedics still keep it, they call him Agni, but the Germanics called him Ing. But I don't know anybody else who knows that that's what that means. Again, you have to know what the language means to know what the rune means.
Yeah.
So that knowledge has been lost. Even though people are chanting it, they're getting benefits from it, they don't understand what they're chanting.
Yeah. Wow, I get it. What are you working on any specific rune right now?
No.
No.
No. As I said, when I work with the runes, it's because I have a very serious connection to them. And again, I'm not saying that everybody has to be like me. Either I'm really advanced or I'm really weak. I can't tell which. But if I start talking about a rune, that rune will take over my whole awareness and I'll have to go through a death.
Yeah.
So unless I'm willing to die to whatever that rune holds, I don't mess with them.
Yeah.
And
you keep saying that death. Is that like kind of what I felt I experienced with the Kundalini, and then coming back like, oh, I got to delete my channel. This isn't me. And changing your whole life.
Yep. And that's pretty significant. You were making a ton of money.
Oh yeah.
That's very significant.
I'm making.
I don't know that I could walk away from that much money. I mean, I have that, a similar frustration because you've seen my channel, and I think I should have billions of views. I think everybody should be watching my channel. But the truth is that so many people have such a difficult time with having to face their attachments.
Yeah.
And it's just so much easier to just give them, the cotton candy or give them whatever it is that feeds their ego. There's a lot of money in it.
to progress spiritually, I had to stop. After that thing, my heart wasn't in it no more. I was making
Yeah.
videos, and I knew it was wrong, and my heart wasn't in it. And it was like, damn, like this is, if there's a selling your soul, this is it. Like I'm not
Yep.
in this
Yep.
no more. And
That's really important. The people out there, the people who have the podcasts and the radio channels and the people that take, people on cruises and, tens of thousands of dollars, those people know that they are giving you half truths or outright falsehoods because they know that you'll pay whatever it takes for them to keep giving it to them.
Yeah.
So the people, they need to know they're being played, whether they realize it or not.
100%. And dude, your channel you're ahead of the game. You see what I mean? There you go.
There's a way to look at it.
You're about 5 or 10 years too early. It's coming.
Okay.
It's coming. People are waking up. Something's changing. You know what I mean? Something's changing. But anyway, well, I appreciate you coming on the show. We'll definitely have to do it again. I'm definitely going to get your book 100%. I'll post a picture with it on my Instagram. And I'm going to put all your links down below. So everybody needs to go over there and subscribe to your channel and show love and support.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
I think everybody's going to love you because they know you're the truth. You know what I mean?
I'll give you the one link and I'll give it to you in email or something. But the one link that if people want to go to see everything that I have is courses.thunderwizard.com. So COURSES.thunderwizard.com. That'll take you to a place where there's just a ton of links that take you to wherever you want to go, books, videos, teaching, whatever it is. So
okay, great.
I'll give that to you.
Well, thank you very much. I appreciate you coming on.
My absolute privilege, my brother. I appreciate it. I'm happy to do it again whenever you want.
Definitely. All right. Well, cool. That's a wrap. I'm not even gonna edit. I'm just gonna chop the beginning and the end, and I'll probably put this up tomorrow. Whatever you would like me to put in the description, if you want to email me that, I'll just, that way I know I get all the links right.
Yeah. Okay.
Hopefully
I'll email that to you right now as soon as we get off. But yeah, if you want, I'm happy to keep doing this, and
definitely.
I'll bring you on my channel. We'll do the same thing.
That'd be great.
Bring you on. I'll probably, with your permission, if I can. I'll see. All right. So the interview should be over by now. So let me clean up my screen here. And now I'm open for questions. If there's anybody still watching, I'm happy to answer any of your questions. Let me see. I'm looking for links latest. That's what I'm looking for. All right. So, for those of you, I'm being a little tardy here, putting on my good luck pendant. There we go. Now I've got my at least enough clothes on to talk. All right. So. I'll go ahead and answer any questions that we may have here. So if you're new to the channel, the way this works on my question and answer, this isn't normally what I do. The reason why I streamed it live is because otherwise I would have had to upload a giant hour-long video, and it would have just been a giant pain in the rear end. So it's just easier for me to stream it and then get it archived that way. So the way this works is that I do question and answers. I'm really not interested in nothing personal. I'm not interested in your opinion. It's not talk back and forth with each other because it takes up too much time for me to scroll through everybody. But if you have a question, write the word question in all caps and then just write your question and I'll answer it. Please make sure that it's a well thought out question. If you're new to the channel, know that I can be very direct. I'm really more interested in the reasons why you ask a question than in your question. If I think your question is frivolous, I'll tell you. The more that you watch my channel, the more educated you'll be able to ask questions that will inspire me to answer them and to talk. All right? But anybody's welcome to ask any question that they want. Just don't take my response too seriously. All right. So we'll go all the way back to the beginning here. Harold Dale asked a question. When I'm doing the 5-element healing, so I think what he's saying by that, the 5-element healing is when I give a healing, the energyhealing.thunderwizard.com, when I give that, I also give you a meditation that you can do. And just the meditation, to be honest with you, just the meditation itself and the instructions of what to do for an hour is worth what you pay for the distance healing you get from me. By the way, I'm almost all the way through. I should have, get through everybody by this week, and then if anybody else wants a distance healing, that would be a good time to start getting that in there, because it takes me a while. If I get a bunch of people, I got to go through the list one by one. But the meditation that you get, which I give to you in writing and the instructions, is well worth the cost of just getting the healing itself. And I think that's what he's asking here. So let me take a look and see. Would it be so he says, when I'm doing the 5-element healing, would it be beneficial to face the direction of the element that I am chanting to? Of course. We talk about that. Again, if you're new to the channel, go and watch my channel. Let me once again tell you how to best make use of my channel. A lot of people on YouTube don't realize how to use YouTube to your best, to get the most out of it. So when you go on to somebody's channel, if you're on a laptop or a desktop, I don't know what it is on a phone, but if you're on a laptop or a desktop, you go to somebody's channel page. For me, that's ThunderWizard.com. ThunderWizard, DOTCOM. If you type that into YouTube, my channel page will come up. You go to the channel page. To the right of the name, you'll see a little magnifying glass. You click on that, a search bar will appear. Put in any word you want, and then you can see all of the videos that I have about that. Somebody just came on, to one of my, videos about Christianity and started talking off the cuff about, this and that, and I totally destroyed him. And the biggest one was, you haven't spent any time looking into what I teach. So if you had known what I teach, you wouldn't have even bothered saying, 90% of what you said, because you would have known that I would have already explained what that means, and you look like an idiot. You're not. And then he doubled down like most people did and said, well, so you're saying I have to watch 1 billion hours of video? And I said, yeah, put the time and effort to know what it is I'm teaching. I've done research into this. You obviously haven't. You don't know what the hell you're talking about. So now not only do you not know what you're talking about, but you're lazy. I have no sympathy for either of those things. Point being is that if you're new to this and you don't know what I'm talking about, you can type in 5 elements. You can type in thunder wheel, because he's talking about the directions. That's called the thunder wheel, the 8 directions. Type in thunder wheel onto my channel. Find out as much as you can. Don't be a sheep. If you want to learn something on my channel, but in life, there are 2 things you need to be successful in spirituality, especially now when everything is just so easy and so superficial. You have to first pay attention. Second is you have to put in the effort. So don't be lulled into a false sense of security because YouTube is constantly trying to grab your attention, and you go from one video to the next. It's not teaching you how to stay in one spot and study, to put effort into it. So on my channel, do that. Go onto my channel page, type in whatever search term you want, and look for it. Look on the video, whatever they call that. The big lists of videos. What is that? Anyway, playlist. Go start watching the playlists. Then when you come onto my channel, you'll know what I'm talking about, what other people are asking, and you'll have questions that you can ask. It'll be well worth your time. All right, so yes, to answer your question, yes, it would be beneficial for you to face the direction of the element that you're chanting to. All right, so this is me just telling people, please don't talk until I'm done. Thank you, thank you. Black Earth Productions has saying hello. Go check out his channel, blackearthproductions.com. Black Earth Productions with a Z.com is his website. He has a channel here on YouTube as well. Go check him out. Will, semen retention. So what is that? Is that a question? Come on, man. Put some effort into the question. Semen retention what? What do you want to know about it? Treat me with respect. Would you walk, if you were to come into my classroom and sit down in my classroom, would you raise your hand and go, semen retention? Or would you actually put the effort into creating a whole sentence so I knew what you were asking? This is what I was just talking about. People are just the phones and the this and they're, stop being a child. ask a question. I'll be happy to answer it. Treat me with respect. Write a whole question. I'll answer it. Let's see here. Thoughts and perceptions. As I've said before, the way to best make me happy is just write a question. I'm really not interested in all the other stuff. I know that in other channels people do that. They just type in whatever. It takes up my time. I'd rather just get to the questions. Car Mastery question. Why do you need to drag the energy back from crown chakra down through all the chakras? Who said you had to drag it? I never said that. That tells me a lot about you. I can tell from the question that it sounds to you like it's hard work. I can feel the dread in it. Like I have to drag it back down. It tells me how you feel about this physical reality. You know, I got to tell you, man, I've chosen to live in, for me, the best place in the world. Let me see if I can show you. I'll find a photo of, you know, what is right across the street from me. That I've just, first let me find it here. So the point I'm trying to make is that, you know, this place that we live in is not some horrible thing that you have to survive. If that's the case for you, then that means that you need to make yourself a better place. All right, it's too much of a pain for me to try and figure out where all that stuff is. Point is, I'm living in paradise. I mean, I love living where I'm at. Now, if you had been listening to me over the past couple of months, I was in hell. But I took myself there, and I'm going to start unpacking how I got myself into hell. But I was in hell for a couple of months. But, you know, thankfully now I'm back where I want to be. I'm creating the universe that I want, which is, you know, I live in freaking paradise. Right now it's like 85 degrees outside. The ocean is clear and green, and there are stingrays and turtles and, you know, all kinds of stuff, and tropical fish, and the water's 79 degrees. You know, I mean, it's paradise. And I live in this really beautiful house I'm staying in now. I walk across the street and walk through the trees down into this beautiful tropical paradise, and I get to drive my car to the store, and, you know, everybody speaks my language. It's just, you know, it's my perfect reality. So when I hear somebody say that, you know, dragging the energy back from the crown, what I hear in that, whether you consciously meant that or not, because words matter, what I hear in that is that you have to drag yourself through this. I hear in that question that what you want is to escape, which is what I was saying earlier about people want enlightenment, not because they want to become spiritual, but because they want to escape their pain. There's nothing wrong with wanting to escape your pain. But don't mistake escaping your pain with spirituality. Spirituality means to become mature. So why do you have to? First off, you don't need to. You don't need to do anything. But in order to be fully enlightened, yeah, the Kundalini has to come up, and then it has to go back down. It does that on its own. You don't have to drag it down. Do you see the assumption there? The assumption there is that once you're out, I'm free. But what you don't remember is that your soul wanted to come here so badly. I get chills thinking about it. Your soul, when it was in infinity, before it became incarnated, was like, I want so badly to go down to earth and learn. I want to trudge through all of that. I want to experience that pain. I want to experience that challenge. I want to feel alive. I want to learn. I want to grow. I want to strengthen myself. Can I please become human? You don't remember that. We all don't. You're no different than anybody else. So when you understand that this universe, and I still have it, I don't put it up on my links anymore because it's very sad for me because nobody took advantage of it, and very few people did. But neo.thunderwizard.com. If you want to know how to stop feeling like you're a victim and that this universe is doing things to you, go to neo.thunderwizard.com. Learn the 5 tools, which each is its own huge teaching, on how to understand that this universe is a life force energy conscious matrix that is responding to your commands. If your life is miserable, you have commanded the universe to create that for you. How does that start? I was talking about conspiracy theories. And I said, if you believe that aliens implant your chakras and control you, that's what's going to happen. Because the universe, not just the universe, three-dimensional reality is a holographic engine. And it thinks, this three-dimensional reality thinks that you know that you're in complete control. Because it knows that you're an infinite soul that has chosen to create an avatar and live in this three-dimensional reality. And it remembers, because it watched you do it. And it said, a king or a queen has arrived. What are your commands, Your Highness? And you said that aliens implant chakras into my body to control me. And the universe said, done. As you command, Your Royal Highness, Your Majesty. When you understand that and you learn to drop all of those assumptions and you're being programmed. So if you want to talk about conspiracy theories, you are being programmed by your society, but you're choosing to let it happen so that you can stay weak. And it's much easier to stay weak. When you have full responsibility over your life, that's far more frightening. That's why I was telling the guy earlier, it's like, I don't know why I don't have billions of views. And, he seems to think that I'm ahead of my time. But the reason why, the other channels that tell you what you want to hear, the ones that tell you that you're a victim, that aliens are implanting chakras in your body, that the elites are taking away all your power. The reason why they do that is because you want them to tell you that. You want them to tell you you're a victim. And they couch it in such a way where you get to then boost your ego by saying, ooh, I've got this knowledge nobody has. But everybody believes that. It's like listening to, something on the radio and you think, man, that song is so cool. I'm so hip for listening to that song. This is uniquely me, and yet a billion other people are listening to that same song. So that's an illusion that you think that you're on the cutting edge of something. You're not. Conspiracy theories are a psyop meant to keep you weak, but you're the one that created it. And when you realize that, and you can drop all of that, you can live. I mean, listen, I had some humanity there, and I'm glad I did. It was horrible, but past like 3 or 4 months, I was very unhappy. I'm back into my happiness again. It's because I took my power back, and I let go of attachments that I had. Things that I had to work through. I'm still human. Another guy came on my channel on the comment section and said, I left your channel for a while and I came back just to prove to myself that you're a fraud teacher, and I'm glad I did, and then he started giving me all this advice about, well, you're still messed up over that woman, and and of course I tore him a new asshole, which was, why are you wasting your time telling me? Why don't you go teach? The reason why you're criticizing me for my humanity and for my mistakes is because you can't tolerate the shame that you have towards yourself about your own mistakes. And what you really want is you want to go teach, but you don't have the guts to go out there and let people see your humanity. So instead, you're going to project that onto all teachers, including me, and you're going to tell me how full of crap I am. Well, yeah, I'm full of crap. If I wasn't, I wouldn't have this meat bag. I'm sharing with you what I do know, and you can choose to take it or not. But if you want to go teach, go teach. But if you think that I give a crap that you see my humanity, no, man, hang out with me long enough, you're going to find out real quick. I'm just as human as the next guy. So anyway, that's what I got from that question. Why do you need to drag the energy back from the crown down through all the chakras? You don't need to do a damn thing. If you want to be fully human, you can have the spiritual experience. I'm working towards that. I'm not there yet. According to my estimation, I think I'm right here, which is why I talk all the time. It's because my throat chakra. I'm on my way up here. Once I get here, then I'm going to go, and then I won't care. And then I'm going to want to come back and just be human. And as I said in the video, that the true walking immortals are the people that you'll never know anything about. They're just here to play in this three-dimensional reality. They're not here to teach. They're not here to save anybody. They just want to experience it because they know that it's a game. They realize that. And when you get to that place, when you realize that you can decide what you want to have in your reality, then you'll stop worrying about what other people do. Yeah, there's conspiracy theories all over the place. Conspiracies all over the place. So what? They can't do anything to you unless you want them to. So that means if you're a victim, if you're poor, you're miserable, you're being attacked, it's because you want to. And you may not want to hear that, but it's the fact. When you're ready to let that go and die to that, then you can laugh and go, yeah, I don't care what politicians do, because I don't have to let it bother me. I mean, I literally can go anywhere in the world I want. As long as there's internet, I can make a living. I don't like being in the States right now, among other reasons, because of the political climate. I'm just tired of listening to it. So you can have that too. So that's what neo.thunderwizard.com will teach you if you're interested. All right, so let's see here. Any questions? All right, let's get to some questions here. Karmistry question. Oh, I already answered that. Question, have you ever looked back at the astrology transits at the time you had these downloads? Nope. I guess that's not entirely true. I have looked at some of them. If you go to courses.thunderwizard.com, you can find my astrology. If you want astrology reading from me, or if you want to learn astrology, you can go and look for those links, or you can go to astrology.thunderwizard.com. But that is something that I do at times. I'll go back. I don't necessarily look at the transits, because that's very impermanent. I look at what's called the Mahadasha. So I don't know if you're asking about Vedic or Western astrology. So I'm talking about Vedic astrology. VEDIC astrology, which I've already talked about. For me, is my preferred astrology. I look at what's called the Mahadasha, which means the great time period. So for anywhere from a couple of years to sometimes 10 or 20 years, you will have one planet that will be really focusing its control on your life. And to find out what you'll be experiencing as you see where that planet is placed, what house it's in. For instance, right now I'm going through the last stages of a Jupiter Mahadasha. My Jupiter is retrograde in the 8th house. So if you know anything about retrograde Jupiter and the 8th house, you know what I've been through the past, I don't know how long it's been, 10 years or something. So it means big highs and lows, ups and downs, big major transformations, huge knowledge. I've gone through the highs of the highs and the lows of the lows. I met my ultimate soulmate. I mean, if there is such a thing, I found one, and then I lost her 2 years later. She passed away. That's Jupiter. I mean, that's the 8th house. Sorry, that's the 8th house. So you look at that, and then you'll see, what was happening. If you have, let's say, I don't know, Venus in your 10th house or something, then during that Venus period, if Venus is placed well and there's good aspects and all that, then that will be a time of real financial success for you in your career. See what I mean? So I haven't looked at transits, I look at Mahadashas instead of, because transits they happen too quickly. And so I like to look at the big picture. Let's see where we go. Mark Norris, question. Why does it feel like my third eye is going to pop out of my head when I meditate on certain things? All right, so this was something that I wanted to address in the interview. The problem is that when people ask me a question, there's like 20 answers in my head, and each one of those answers I can spend an hour talking on, so I don't always get to some of the things I want to say. But he was talking about that, and he made a really good awareness, which was that he believes that he's opened his root chakra. I want you to listen to that. So if you listen to his experience, that sounds pretty amazing. A lot of people would have that experience and come to the belief that they were fully enlightened. To his credit, he didn't come to that awareness. I believe that he has his humility is working for him, because he says that he believes that his root chakra was opened, which is just the basics, which means that got him out of the fear. If you want to know where fear is, that's where it is. It's in the root chakra. You're afraid of your physical reality. And so he's now moved past, according to him. I'm not trying to say that I see what's going on with him. According to him, he's moved past that, and his root is open, and now he's in his sexual chakra. But what was I going to say? I was going to say something important here. Oh, yeah. So there's a connection, and he had talked earlier about having his third eye opened, and he sees things with his third eye. Again, to his credit, he's not saying he's achieved enlightenment. You have to understand that these experiences are just that. They're experiences. They're growing pains. And it's very possible that you can move past that. I personally wouldn't want to be able to see auras or things like that. I don't want that. So I believe that I've kind of said to the universe, I don't want a lot of these things. Don't give them to me. Because I've tapped into them, and for whatever reason, I don't want them. But there is a connection between the root chakra and the third eye. Have you ever noticed that when you're sitting on the toilet, you like to read? You ever notice that? You like to gather knowledge while you're sitting on the toilet. That's because the root chakra has a lot to do with the third eye. So the third eye, the feeling that you have that the third eye is pounding open, it just means that there's a direct connection between the root and the third eye. And when you get to the place where the energy meridians have really opened, then that intense feeling will subside. So ideally, you don't have any feeling in any of the chakras or any of the energy points. It's a good sign. It means that things are moving, but it means that it's basically waking up. It's not a big deal. Enjoy it or not. It's not a big deal. Just let it happen. It's just a growing pain. Also, many synchronicities. Well, synchronicity, you can't really take that to mean anything. On the one hand, as I said earlier, we create everything. So all that's happening is that you're seeing that you're creating all these things. You start thinking about a subject and everybody around you talks about it. One of the things that happens with me as a teacher is that I will come up with an idea about something I want to talk about, and then people will say, oh my God, I was just thinking that, and I was hoping that you would talk about it. And I say to them, well, that's why I'm talking about it, because your intention, you've created me as your teacher, and your intention is to learn something, and my job as the teacher is not to tell you something you don't know. My job as the teacher is to remind you of what you already know. That's why if you're meant to be my student, I say something, you go, oh my God, that's so. Well, that's just because it struck a chord with you that you're already learning it. If it wasn't something that you were learning, you either wouldn't understand it, or you would dismiss it, or you might even criticize me. It's so there's narcissism involved. Synchronicity is narcissism. Sorry. I see triple ones everywhere. Well, so what? People go, every time I look at the clock, it's 3:33. What does that mean? It means that the clock says 3:33 twice a day, every day, and you happen to catch that. The odds are eventually you will see that. That's all it means. If you want to take some meaning from that and apply it to your life, great. But if there is it's not the universe giving you a sign, it's you giving yourself a sign. That's all it is. So the synchronicities just means that you're opening up to the understanding that you are able to create this world, and you're giving yourself some kind of a message because this is something that you think about. Because I guarantee you're seeing all kinds of synchronicities all the time, but because it doesn't stimulate your narcissism, you don't pay attention to it. Right? Okay, so in other words, bottom line is congratulations, something's happening. Don't get too wrapped up in it. It's not a big deal. Enjoy it. So Karmastri says question, and then he says to answer you about the drag word I use. So that's not a question. So let me just give everybody a good piece of advice. Don't write anything on here unless it's a question. Because if you double down on something that I've criticized, guess what's going to happen? I'm going to go even deeper because you're going to prove to me that you didn't hear what I said and you're in defense mode, which is going to make me want to come at you even harder. You know, I'm the last guy you want to get in a duel with. And so doubling down on defending yourself about what you said isn't going to help you. So here we go, since you did that. To answer you about the drag word I used, actually I am not a native speaker, so I use the words I have, especially at 3 a.m. Well, you perfectly communicated just fine right there. So you have enough command of the language that you could have chosen a different language, so don't give me that bullshit. Look, hear what I said. You chose words for a reason. It's because there's something in you that vibrated on that level. Meditate on it. At the very least, other people will have had that same feeling. So, I mean, I'm reading you and you've got a total mastery of the English language, or you wouldn't have been able to write that. So think about that. Those words, there's a thing called unconscious, meaning something that you're not aware of, but that on an unconscious level you feel. There's obviously something there, or you would have chosen different words. Okay? Hi Country Crypto, question, what are you in search of, or what do you live for? I don't know why you're asking me that question. Why do you care? If you're new to my channel, welcome. Watch the channel. You'll find out. I don't know what you're trying to get. Are you just trying to create a dialogue? I'm nothing personal. I'm not looking for that kind of superficial connection. I want to answer deep questions. That's not a deep question. But thank you, and I'm going to take that as a welcome and hello to you. Welcome to my channel. All right, let's see what else we got going on here. Amir4459, please do me a favor, write the word question if you have a question, and please write out a full sentence. About Kundalini awakening and its effects, please. What about it? You haven't asked a question. If you want to be on my channel and you want to learn, put some effort into writing a full sentence with a subject and object. Let me know what it is you're trying to ask me. Don't be lazy. This is this modern thing. Don't be lazy. Put some effort into it and I'll be happy to help you. Erewhon Tree question, is Dasha short for Mahadasha? Yes. I understand astrology back to front, but unsure some of the Vedic language. Well, if you understand astrology back to front, are you telling me Western astrology? Because if you start telling me that you're asking me questions about Western astrology, I'm going to tell you Western astrology for me is a complete waste of time because it's 24 degrees off. Why would you do that? You wouldn't build a house with 24-degree angle difference. You wouldn't do that. So if you say you understand astrology back to front, but you don't know what Dasha means, then you're telling me you don't understand Vedic astrology. I don't do Western astrology. If you want to understand Vedic astrology, then that's that. All right, Dark Horse question. What do you like for music? Hey, man, come on. Guys, what is this? Are we sitting at a bar having a beer? And I'm not a superficial guy. I'm not on here to waste time talking about superficial stuff. Put some effort into looking at my channel and what I teach. I'll be happy to answer any honest question about spirituality. What do you do for a living? And so, did you watch the game last night? I don't do that. But welcome to the channel. Amir449 question. What is Kundalini energy? I talked about it in this video. If you're just logging on now, wait until this video archives, go back and watch it. I tell you exactly what Kundalini energy is. And how does it indicate spiritual development as it becomes more powerful? I had already talked about that on this, so go back and watch that. Thank you for the question. Also, again, you can go on to my channel. The channel page of the YouTube channel page, ThunderWizard.com. Learn how to search within my channel. Type in Kundalini. I have probably hundreds of hours of videos about Kundalini. That's a better use of your time than trying to get me to repeat myself. So put some time and effort into watching my channel and you'll have understanding, and then you'll have even more questions to ask me. Meena Law, question, just tuned in. Hopefully this is not off topic. What software do you use for Vedic astrology, please? I use Jyotish Dashboard. There you go. Erewhon Tree, if I see a chart, Vedic or Western, what is that? Is that a question? Is that a statement? What are you saying? Desi Ray Ray, question. I suffer with chronic pain every day for about 12 years. I'm sorry to hear that. From multiple damaged discs and severe anxiety. Well, so now you bring up something. So I do have a video. Again, if you go onto my channel and type in back pain or chronic pain, there's at least one video that will come up. I'm going to write something down here for you to look at. It's called TMS for short, or tension myositis syndrome. I don't know if I spelled that right. Go Google that. I used to have crippling back pain, neck pain, joint pain. I wouldn't have been able to pick up this bottle of water. I was in so much pain. And, you know, I'm sure had I gone to, you know, your average doctor, they would have said, oh, you have a slip disc, or oh, you have, you know, whatever that nerve is being compressed. And they might suggest I get surgery. So the guy who came up with tension myositis syndrome is a doctor, and he came to the realization that the majority of the back surgeries that are done are unnecessary. And the reason I'm bringing this out is because you say multiple damaged discs. Now, if you said I had been in a severe car accident, that would be one thing, but you haven't said that. You are making the assumption that your discs are damaged, probably because you've been told by a doctor. Unless you're going to tell me like you got hit in the back by a steel girder or something like that. But if what has happened is you just lived your life normally, and then you just started finding out all this pain, and the doctor said, oh, you've got damaged discs, there's a good chance you have TMS. Now, I'm not a doctor, so don't take my word for it. Look at it. The reason why I say that is because severe anxiety. So one of the things that happens with TMS, and by the way, there's this whole list of diseases that are caused by this, which is when you live in conflict with yourself, you're in a marriage you don't like, you're in a job you don't like, you went through trauma as a kid, whatever, you don't make enough money, you don't feel good enough about yourself, this can create anger, which then, if you are not able to tolerate it, you shove it into your unconscious mind, which was what most people do. They're in denial. They've been working that same job for 10 years. They hate that job, but whatever. And what ends up happening is that the brain gives you an option, and it says, so we could either bring all this conflict to your conscious mind, or we can distract you from it by creating physical pain. And according to this guy, the way that the pain is created is that the brain shuts off blood flow to nerves and to muscle tissues. And it creates inflammation. And it causes a lot of pain. And it feels like you can't function. And, you know, the majority of back pain, well, here's what he found. This is really interesting. I remember this, but back in the 60s, the big thing was stomach ulcers. You heard everybody had stomach ulcers until doctors, the medical community, and psychiatrists and psychologists all came to the realization that stomach ulcers was the result of stress, meaning you've got internal conflict. And once you start reading in the newspapers, because that was the internet of the day, that doctors say that stomach ulcers are caused by stress, guess what happened? Everybody stopped having stomach ulcers. The reason for that is because it no longer worked. The brain was using a way to distract people from their actual difficulties by causing them physical pain so they wouldn't think about the things in life that bothered them. And once they realized that, oh, that's from tension, then the brain went, oh, that's not going to work. We got to figure something else out. And then he said, right after that, in the 70s, you start hearing about back pain. And that's when he realized that. And now there's all kinds of other spiritual reasons for that too. You know, where you have pain will tell you what the issue is. Lower back pain, people who suffer from lower back pain are people who have issues regarding feeling feeling taken care of by the universe, because the lower back is where the kidneys are. And the kidneys represent the water element, and the water element is where you get nourished by the mother. The way we feel nourished by the universe as most adults is the money that we make. And if you don't think you're making enough money, if you have money issues, or if you have fears or you have unconscious blocks against money, what's going to happen is you're going to start having lower back pain. And then your back is going to get really stiff. And like, I'm not talking a little bit of pain, like you can't get out of bed. Your back will go into complete spasm. And it may be as a result of an injury, like you trip and fall, or maybe you do get, into a fender bender. Oh, and then you go to the doctor and he says, oh yeah, you got a slipped disc. And you're like, oh, there it is. I've got something broken in my back. And now you found a way to stay stuck in your pain and your misery for the rest of your life. You go to doctors. I've known guys who have had multiple back surgeries. And what ends up happening is after a surgery, they feel better. And guess what? It comes back worse. The surgeries, unless, like I said, unless you actually got into a car accident and you broke your back in 4 places, that's a whole different deal. But if it's something that just sort of happened, you slipped and fell in the bathtub, and that's a sign that you've got unresolved unconscious anger, and it's coming out in your body. So to answer your question, I would go look at TMS, and I would become willing to take a look at the things in your life that you hate. You might hate your marriage. You might hate your job. All of these things, if you're doing something you hate, it's going to cause, and you're not dealing with it, it's going to cause a physical pain when you're no longer willing to tolerate the emotional pain. I also have a book here, which if you can master what's in this book, it's just a tiny little book, but it's the most important thing I can teach you. The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. You can master what's in that book, you can heal yourself of the pain. If the pain is from unresolved conflict. RCP Ashtray, question. When engaging in Qigong energy work, is it also helpful to bring down the hands from the heart to the navel to help heal unconscious, subconscious mind? I find it interesting. People, I've introduced people to become aware that most of the time when they use the word subconscious, they really mean unconscious. I mean, it drives me crazy. But people can't let go of it. So they can't just say heal the unconscious mind. They have to put in subconscious there, because that's still you can just pick one. Unconscious is really what you're trying to say here. Subconscious is something a little different. But as you know, I teach that you have to bring your hands down to the navel. It's called the close down. Go onto my channel and look up the close down. So it is helpful, but it's also mandatory. If you want to do my Qigong, at the end, you bring your hands down over the navel and you close down. And yes, it will do what you're saying. Amir 4459 question. Are your celestial Qigong videos available for download? So have you looked for it? Yeah, they are. Go and look for it. There's an Amazon downloadable streaming version, and there's the streaming version that I have. And there's DVDs as well. So, if you put the effort into looking for it, you will find what you're looking for. 2 most important things on my channel in life is pay attention and put the effort into it. All right, let's see what else. All right, I don't see any more questions. Kato Candace started asking a question and then stopped. Instead, she wrote quest. Yes, I am on a quest to experience the best surfing experience of my life. I got to tell you, man, I'm so glad. Past couple of months, here's the thing, I saw it coming. What happened is I met somebody online. And if you go back into my videos, this is one of the reasons why I don't take out the things that I do wrong. There are videos here on my channel that I'm not proud of. I say and do things I'm not in my highest awareness, and I'm not proud of it. I don't take them off because I keep telling you that I'm human. So if you guys have any idea that, a person needs to be, better than human, I've got other I'm going to check and see who this is, and then I'll continue. Hi, this is Mike. Okay. Wrong number. All right, so in all caps, Amir, you're still not paying attention. If you get it from me, I give you live streaming, which is just an unlisted YouTube channel. If you're watching YouTube, you can watch mine. Pay attention. Put the effort into looking at what I have. Listen to what I tell you. You're being lazy. You want that? You can do that. There's a way to do that. You can just simply go and you can keep watching it for whenever you want. It's just an unlisted YouTube channel that I give out to people who buy it directly from me. Pay attention. All right, let's see what else. All right, I forgot what I was saying, but basically, what I was going to say is that there are things on my channel that I'm not proud of, but I don't get rid of it because I want you guys to see that I'm human. Why? Because I want you to see yourself as somebody who can achieve what I achieve. And again, if you look on some of my comments and some of my recent videos, I tore some guy a new asshole because he was basically saying that I wasn't a real teacher because he was telling me, how screwed up I was, because over the past few months I was screwed up over this girl. I'm doing that on purpose. I'm letting you guys see that on purpose so that you can understand that you're going through whatever you're going through. You can still have what I have. You don't have to be perfect. You don't have to achieve enlightenment to get to a place where the universe will follow your commands. I mean, I was hanging out with a beautiful young woman the other day. It's like stunningly, amazingly beautiful. Considerably younger than I am. And when the issue of my age came around, I told her that I was 56. She couldn't believe it. I'm still screwed up. And yet I'm healthy. I'm physically the strongest I've ever been in my life. I've got everything that I want. I'm living in total just luxury and the life of my dreams. And yeah, the past 3 or 4 months up until just recently, I fell into a hole of my own narcissism and lack of awareness. That doesn't mean that I haven't learned anything, because I was able to bring myself out of it. And I'm learning from that lesson. I want you to learn from it too. All right? So that was Quest. And somebody wrote Quest. That's what made me think of that. So again, Amir, like I said, you got to pay more attention. Put a little more effort and pay more attention. There's nothing more I can tell you. You can get it directly from me, and you can stream it. It's just an unlisted YouTube channel. If you can watch YouTube, you can watch it. So, guys, seriously, pay attention. Put effort into it. That's going to be that'll solve a hell of a lot more problems than anything else. Cato Candace question. Been on this awakening journey, for lack of a better word, for about 2.5 years. I don't know what that means. Awakening journey. We're all on an awakening journey. So, when I don't know you, Cato, I don't know you. So bear in mind what I say may not directly affect you, but, whenever I hear somebody say, I've become woke, or I've awakened, or I had enlightenment, I know for a fact that they haven't. Because nobody who has talks like that. Little kids talk like that because they deal with extremes. So good for you. You're on an awakening journey. That means that you have gone through an awakening. Everybody's going through an awakening in their own level. And you say for about 1.5 years, a 1.5 years isn't all that long. So if what you're saying is, according to you, you've only been on this awakening journey for 1.5 years, that's nothing. Not to try and take away from it, congratulations. It doesn't mean, I'm just saying you don't need to expect anything. If I haven't felt a third eye opening experience, so again, watch my channel, because a third eye opening experience doesn't mean anything either. There are people out there that can see that, there's somebody that I've just spent a lot of time with who is very intuitive, but also incredibly screwed up, and can't tell the difference between an actual intuitive experience and them experiencing their own narcissism. So just because somebody has a third eye opening experience doesn't mean anything. And Kundalini awakening is a lifetime process. In fact, it takes multiple lifetimes. You're asking me, why haven't you had this in a year and a half? Because you've only been doing it for a year and a half. And when you get to it and you actually have that experience, you'll go, oh, well, that wasn't that big of a deal. I'm going to go have some ice cream. You're still going to want to be human after all of it. So don't put any of that stuff you said. That's the garbage that's thrown out by the false teachers that want to give you the cotton candy, because it works. Why? Because people want to escape. So instead of taking drugs, they want to be told that Zohar the Magnificent is being channeled through some woman who just charged you $1,000 to go on a cruise, and they're going to tell you some, gobbledygook that sounds really spiritual, but when you really think about it, they haven't really said a whole hell of a lot, but it sounded like a lot because I believe this person is channeling aliens. That's the kind of garbage that they'll tell you that. Oh yes, in 6 months from here, the Kundalini will awaken and you will have achieved in life. It's all a bunch of horse shit. There's nothing more spiritual than being human. I'm going to give to you my definition of enlightenment one more time. I'll continue to do it, but I'll do it again. Which is that enlightenment is nothing more than being conscious of all of your feelings, positive and negative. If you are human, you will have negative feelings. Anybody that just love and light is full of crap, or in denial, or both. The most angry, and I'm telling you, the most dangerously destructive people are the people who just say, I'm just all about love and light and I never get angry. I had this woman tore me to shreds. And the whole while she was doing it, she felt she was being spiritual because she wasn't angry with me and she had a smile on her face. That has nothing to do with spirituality. Being awakened means that you know how angry you are, how sad you are, how frustrated you are, how frightened you are, how weak you feel, how much resentment you have over this and that. Having your feelings is not a bad thing. Having negative feelings is not a sign of a lack of spirituality. Being able to love yourself in those feelings and tolerate yourself when you have them, that is enlightenment. Because in that moment, you will then have the awareness to know how to take actions that will benefit others and yourself. So enlightenment is nothing more than having the conscious awareness of all of your feelings and being able to take constructive action. When you can do that, you can create the life of your dreams, and you will still have crippling fear, sadness, pain, regret. You guys have watched me for years. I went through the death of my soulmate, and I had the worst pain ever. I just came out of literally the most toxic, destructive relationship of my life, and here I am, this spiritual teacher, and I fell into it. But that doesn't take away the fact that all I'm required to do at any moment is to be conscious of all of my feelings, to be able to verbalize them without judging myself, and then to be able to take constructive action on that. And sometimes you'll make mistakes. Anybody that tells you that enlightenment is anything else is handing you cotton candy, because they're either deluded or they're conning you. And they will keep giving that to you as long as you keep buying it off of them. So a year and a half is nothing, and you're not supposed to have any of those things. But having said that, if you want to have a powerful experience, I recommend doing the Celestial Qigong, which is you can find at Qigong.com. www.thunderwizard.com. I can almost guarantee you will have an experience. But again, it doesn't mean anything. Just like going to the gym and being sore the next day doesn't mean you've become Mr. Olympia. It just means that you started, working your muscles. Okay? And then you answered your own question later, which is maybe I should stop comparing my journey to others. There you go. You just had you had one of the most amazing enlightenments right there. That's a high level spiritual awareness. Okay. Question. Of course, he's not asking a question. At least not in the beginning. I understand the close down and do always rub my body and bring my hands back to the navel. I mean the bicycle motion. Are you talking about this? I mean, you can do that. Why are you asking me? Here's the thing about Qigong. Experiment. You tell me. You have something that isn't my intention to use that move. I don't know what move you're talking about. To bring healing to my navel. If your instinct is telling you to do that, listen to it. And then tell me if it works for you. Create your own awareness out of that. Car Mastery question. A few months ago, I was in a hospital and his doctor said I have intense inflammation of large intestine. I also have money issues. What kind of conflict it may be and how to heal that? What are you asking me for? I don't know what your conflict is. That's, you have some pretty intense symptoms, which means that your denial level is very high, which means it's going to take some time to cut through all that denial to find out what it is. Here's what I can tell you again. Read that book, The Shamanic Secret Commandment to a Perfect Life. Go read that book. Go to michaelwilliamdenney.com. WilliamDenney.com and go look for that book. If you can master that book, you'll be able to heal yourself. What I've found is this, that we come here for two reasons. If you want to boil down what life is all about, we come here for two reasons. First and foremost, we come to fulfill desires that our soul has. So you were born with desires that were programmed into your soul. To know that you're following your soul, or even to know that you've become aware of what those desires are, there will be an immediate flash of joy when you think about it. Childlike joy. I think about this beach here. Maybe you can see the change on my face. I think about this water. I think about just paddling out, even if the waves are tiny and it's windy. I just paddle out into this beautiful, and I look at the coast and the fish and and I'm so happy. It just gives me such joy. It heals me. That's what my soul came here to do. So I give my soul what it wants. And when I do that, it makes me happy. It literally is my medicine. To get to the place where I'm at now, to be able to pick up and travel and live wherever the hell I want, as long as I have internet and a laptop, I had to face a lot of conflict within myself. And so what I found out is that there are two things. The first one is that you have to know what your joy is, because that'll tell you what your soul wants to experience. Your soul came down here to have fun and experience three-dimensional reality. You'll know what that is because it'll give you joy every time you think about it or when you do it. But at the same time, you also came here to work through past life karmic issues, which have to do with the choice between living what your soul wants to do or trying to get loved by other people. I'm not minimizing that. For some, that meant being killed, being burned to death on a cross or something. Because it's sometimes in history, making the choice between what your soul wants and what other people want you to do is enough to get you killed. So nowadays, what it is people want to be loved by family, friends, society. So I already know that because you have debts, you have money debts, you have issues about money, you don't believe that you are worthy of money and on an unconscious level, and so you end up creating all this debt. And then you have this issue of, I'm no good, I don't have any money, and I have debts. And so you get to live out, the shame and the pain, which is your way of making other people happy. When we torture ourselves, it's because we're trying to get somebody else's approval. Trying to get your mom or your dad's approval, even if your mom and dad are dead. You know, I've shared about this before, but I was an actor for years. I had my own theater company. I did, bit parts in TV and film and blah, blah, blah. In fact, if you want, you can see the only film that I actually survived into now. If you go onto YouTube and you type in Shadow Glories, you can type it in right now. You'll see me. I look actually a lot the same, although I was quite a bit younger. And you can see me playing a kickboxer fighting a girl. So if you don't want to see violence, don't watch it. What was I saying? I forgot what I was saying. What was I saying? It was really important. I forget now. But the point is that I didn't make it as an actor. Number one, because that wasn't my my actual dharma. That wasn't my orlog. But also because I had been given an unconscious attitude about that from my parents. First time that my parents saw me act was in college. And I, as a freshman, I had made it to, getting lead roles, which only happened for graduate students. So I was breaking all the rules. And I was, everybody was jealous of me because they had to go through 4 years to be able to do that. And my parents came to see it, and I was putting on my makeup in the dressing room, and I could hear the dean of the department telling my mother and father, "You're Michael Denney's parents. You should be so proud of him. He is an amazing talent, blah, blah, blah." And I thought, they are going to understand. They're going to see. I'm going to finally get their love and approval. Did the show, standing ovation, tears of blah, 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 right? I'm on riding high. I'm coming off. I take my makeup off. We're going to go out to eat. And I'm thinking, that's it. They're finally going to respect me. First thing my dad says after, half an hour of pause, of nothing being said, my dad says, "Well, you're not there yet." At which point my mom leans over and says, "So why do you do it? Is it for the applause?" Now, that created a conflict inside of me. Because if I wanted my parents' love and approval, I had to not be successful at acting because it pissed them off. Somewhere inside of you, there is something you are in conflict with, something deep in your unconscious mind. You're trying to please somebody, and you're in conflict about it because your soul wants to do something else. And you're giving up your soul, you're sacrificing your soul to please something or somebody. God, President Trump, your parents, I don't care who it is. You're trying to please somebody and you're angry, and instead of getting angry at the people who are programming you to be a failure, you're getting angry at yourself. That's what little kids do. Little kids will not get angry at their parents because they think if they hate their parents, it'll kill them. So they turn that hate inward. This is where it all starts. So probably when you were a little kid, you asked the question, that's what it is. Now, you go to years and years of psychotherapy, maybe you'll figure it out. And I'm not saying that, I still have a therapist to this day. But if you don't know how to do that, then figure out what your joy is and go do it. It'll be the most painful, challenging, frightening thing you've ever done. And it'll scare the crap out of you. But that's the only way out. Taking action on what you love is the only way out of that conflict, and it can kill you. I won't lie to you. It can be the most horrifically painful thing you've ever done. That's the only way I know out. There's no easy way out. Sorry, guys. This is why you came here. You came here to have joy and to work through. Like my ancestors said, those who die in battle go to Valhalla. It means that when you're willing to die to have your joy, you will achieve enlightenment. When you're willing to have the people that you love the most hate your guts because you're doing what you want and not what they want, you will then achieve enlightenment. Not if you smoke weed or sit around and be happy all the time. That's not going to do anything for you. I mean, I'm not going to do nothing for you. I'm not saying not to be happy. You know what I mean? Anyway, Koya Moon question: do our future selves contain all the runic frequencies? Well, why are you making it about your future self? What's wrong with your present self? If your future self contains all the runic frequencies, so does your present self. So do your past selves. Why the distinction? Why are you trying to escape yourself here and now? Are we on the ThunderWizard path to embody all of the runic energies at once? I never said that. I can't argue with that. Sounds good to me. Do you think that's why? You tell me. Is that why? I don't know. It sounds pretty good to me. Thunder Staves Rangel, sorry. Question: what can you share with us about Heimdall? Today, nothing, because I haven't been researching Heimdall for a while, other than Heimdall is the crown chakra. The rainbow bridge is up here. Jameson Colliday question: with the use of 5-element sounds as you teach in books and establish sacred space after honoring directions, can this be done at any time of day before all energy work? Yes. Koya Moon question: can we absorb other people's judgment and turn it into power? I mean, yes, but that... I mean, you're telling me a lot about yourself. Think about the words you just used. Absorbing other people's judgment. Sounds very codependent. It tells me that that is what you do. That people's opinions of you are so powerful that they get absorbed into you. Listen, I just lived through it. And I take full responsibility for it. I just lived through having somebody devalue me on the deepest, most painful level. And it was because I had unresolved issues about my mother, about wanting my mom's love. So I chased after somebody who reminded me of my mother, who talked a good game, but when it came down to it, just continued to devalue me at the deepest level. And so, the truth is I saw it coming, and I still went after it. I still kept going after it after it was very clear from the beginning that this is what was going to happen. So I'm not judging you, but, you might want to rethink that whole experience. The reason that I do spirit fighting, which is what the celestial Qigong comes from, is because it creates a barrier where people's negative energy will just bounce off you. You won't care. I haven't perfected that yet, but I'm a lot better at it now than I used to be. So I really want you to meditate on this idea that you absorb other people's judgment. And why do you need their judgment? Turning it into power doesn't somehow, you know what I mean? It's like you don't even have to absorb it. You don't even have to acknowledge it. It's okay if it does affect you. I don't want you to pretend that it doesn't, but that just, it's like creating some sort of pseudo superiority of, I'm going to absorb your judgment, and I'm going to turn your judgment into power. Whereas you could just not even be even cognizant of somebody's judgment. They have a judgment, and you go, oh, all right, good for you. I know myself. If you know yourself, judgments won't hit you. If their judgments are hitting you, then it means that that's how you feel about yourself. Everything outside of you is a reflection of your own internal reality. Somebody, this woman I was with was an unresolved, big, giant zit inside of me, unresolved mommy issue stuff. And so I put it out into my reality because my soul wanted to be done with it already. So I had to pop that zit. Sorry for the metaphor there. So, you're asking me to co-sign a process that I don't think is necessary or healthy for you. I would much rather you become aware of why
You absorb people's judgments instead of mirroring them back to them. Fuck you. What a disgusting thing to say to me. Why would you say that to me? I don't buy that at all. Why not respond that way? Why not reflect it back? Why the guilt? It's not more spiritual to take it on and absorb it and turn it into power. There's nothing spiritual about that. Maybe that's just the way I do it, but that's what I hear in your question. I'll try to transmute their energy or deflect it. You don't need to do that. You're assuming that their judgment has the power to affect you. It only has the power to affect you if you choose to allow it. And if you choose to allow it, it's because that's how you already feel about yourself. So instead of trying to change and transmute their energy, who gives a shit about them? You're giving them way too much importance. Instead, go, wow, I must really hate myself in this area. That what they just said, that must be how I feel about myself. And start to love yourself. It has nothing to do with their energy. It's an illusion that their energy is coming into you and doing something to you. That's an illusion. That in them is in you. They wouldn't be in your life if you weren't asking that to come and be that for you. So change yourself and they'll disappear. And then you don't have to worry about transmuting anything. And again, listen to the childish, superficial, superiority. I'm going to transmute your negative energy. That's a childish way of looking at things. Okay? It's not them. They're not outside of you. They are inside of you. And if you get to that place where you love yourself in that area, those people won't show up and judge you. Okay? Benjamin Shayla. Again, guys, I'm only interested in the question. So if you have a question, I'll read that. Question, do the runes bring primordial unity into manifestation? Well, there's a lot in that. Primordial unity? Can I say no to that? Yeah. I see a lot of things in that question. That tells me how you like to look at the universe. So I can't say no to that, but that wouldn't be the way that I would describe it. Maybe because I am my own person and I see things differently. All right, I don't see any more questions here. So if you don't ask questions, I sell you stuff. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you a video of the Celestial Qigong so that you know what it is that is. The most powerful practice that I know of. That can be taught on video. Anything more powerful, you have to teach it in person. And that'll take a couple of minutes. And then if I come back, if there are more questions, I'll answer them. If not, I will just call it a day. All right, so see you in a bit. Denney of SpiritTao.com, and this is Celestial Negung Part 1. Celestial Negung means that this is power that is descending from heaven, and the idea is that we are all microcosms of the entire universe. You are the entire universe, and everything around you is simply the projection. You are looking within yourself. So when you look up into the stars at night, you're actually looking deep within your own body. When you look at the sun, the moon, the trees, the flowers, you're looking within yourself. This is Negung. And so what we're doing is we're simply releasing that infinity from within us. You are tapping into and releasing the power that is within our own body, our own cells, our own organs. So one of the reasons that I'm making this DVD is in the hope that the essence and the spirit of the teaching of the Shang-Ching arts can be taught to the world at large, and it is my hope that the core essence of what the Shang-Ching tradition is will continue to live and grow and evolve. As we move on into the Aquarian age, everything is changing. I don't need to tell you that. The entire world is changing, and what we are seeing now is that if people hold on to external things, they are very challenged in life. And those who are making the transition into the next phase that we are moving into in the world as we approach 2012, those who look within and find their source of strength from within, those are the people who are getting the most out of life and will make the transition into the next phase of evolution most comfortably. It is my belief that the Shang-Qing tradition is one method whereby human beings can evolve into the next level of being in the most comfortable fashion and be able to take advantage of the rapid, energetic, mental, and spiritual changes that are going on in the world today. Alrighty, so now I'm back. Where am I going? I want to go here. There we go. So again, if you're new to the channel, watching the videos and listening to me talk is about this much of what you will gain. What this channel is really about is doing the work. Celestial Qigong is one of those things, and I've got so many different teachings and practices and services. Sitting around watching YouTube and talking about stuff and smoking weed, and that gets you almost nowhere. The whole point of all this talk is to get you to do the work, to change yourself. And so for that, that's what these links are for. ThunderWizard.com. You can subscribe at the lowest level and get access to master level shamanism, which includes runes, energy work, working with the 5 elements, rituals, deities, all kinds of stuff from A to Z. Courses.thunderwizard.com has every single one of my services, books, videos, certifications. You want to get certified in astrology, certified in rune reading, all of my other services and courses and blah, blah, blah. And then energyhealing.thunderwizard.com. That's something that I just recently started doing. And as I said earlier, even if you just get I teach you an hour-long meditation to do along with that to help the energy empowerment take root. Even if you just did that, that would be worth the price of the energy healing. So take a look at that. That's what really I'm here for. If you want to get the most out of me, do that. People who just come onto my channel and watch the videos are, you know, it's like riding a tricycle when you could be driving a Maserati. All right, I'll check and see if there's any other last minute questions here. All right, Amir 449 question, are Reiki and Qigong related? Not really. Qigong technically just means energy work, and there's all kinds of Qigong. So the kind of Qigong that I do, you know, there's all different kinds, but I prefer the one that I do because it's most powerful. And by the way, Amir, I saw that you had emailed me and asked me how to purchase it, so I will respond when I get off of this video. Reiki is very passive. Now, I do know some people who are quite good at Reiki, but I've also known people who think that Reiki is energy work. And I remember working with a woman who was my apprentice, and as it turned out, she you know, was an alcoholic. Like a practicing alcoholic. Like the whole time she was working with me, she was like drinking, you know, bottles of scotch and all that. And I was telling her, I gave her a bunch of stuff to do, and one of the things I gave her to do was to do some Qigong. Now, she never did that. And I asked her about it, how's your Qigong going? She says, oh, I do Reiki, and it's all the same, right? And I said, no, it's not the same. Reiki is very passive. Nothing wrong with it, but Reiki is you're channeling energy from other beings through you. So it's not your energy. Qigong is you're creating your own energy. So she could be really toxic. I wouldn't want to go to her and have her do Reiki on me, somebody that's, you know, drinking a bottle of scotch a day. But, you know, theoretically she could do Reiki and, you know, it's not her energy. Her energy was really, you know, dirty and toxic and screwed up. Qigong is your energy. So they're the same in that they're both energy work, but one is passive and one is active. You are empowering and healing and opening up the energies and within yourself. Koya Moon question, is there a rune to work with that could help me understand how to release shame and guilt? Yeah, work with all of them. I don't know. I mean, you tell me. You create a relationship with them. Tell me which one does it for you. The Yuhuaj rune, the one that looks, like, a hook. That one will mess you up. But Koya Moon, I've said this before. I mean, you need counseling. If you don't want to work with me, find a counselor, because the stuff that's going on with you, releasing shame and guilt is more than just deciding to release shame and guilt. You need help. I mean, like I said, I still have a therapist. I still have a teacher. I still have mentors. If you guys want what I have, you got to do what I do. I also say this, brain surgeons can't do brain surgery on themselves. So you need some outside source. You can work with me if you want, or you can work with somebody else. Go to ThunderWizard.com. You can figure out how to do that. Thundra Staves Rangel. I'm assuming you're trying to do this on your own. I could be wrong. Thundra Staves Rangel question. How do you travel into the unconscious mind to learn a particular self-healing technique, for example? Well, doing a shamanic journey is one way to do it. I do it when I'm waking up in the morning, in between the state of being asleep and being awake, where I'm still sort of in that phase where if I wanted to, I could go back into my sleep and dream. When I'm in that state, I ask questions. I also review my dreams. Like, you wake up from a dream and you're not awake yet, but you remember what the dream was, because after you wake up, you'll forget. Like today, I remember waking up, I dreamt I was driving like a big rig truck, and there was a chicken in the truck, and the chicken was driving the truck, and it was like, and I'm like, what the hell is that all about? Why but the chicken was still a chicken. He couldn't completely drive the truck, but he was still, and I was trying to help the chicken drive the truck, but what the hell does that mean? Well, that has some meaning, if I was able to understand, so I'll ask myself questions like, what does the chicken represent in that state of mind? And then I'll be able to know. This is when I've talked to the gods. I've asked Odin questions in that experience, and Odin talks to me, in that space. So that's your unconscious mind. That's another way. Those are the ways that I know of. Average Joe question. I'm hurrying up because I'm going to run out of battery here. Average Joe question. Do you have any specific videos explaining the golden elixir? Nope. As it relates to the microcosmic orbit? Nope. I don't teach that. Again, I don't respond to questions about other teachings and other teachers. So no, short answer is no. I don't have any videos about that. That was the right way to ask it, by the way. If I have any videos about it. Jameson Colliday question. The 2 types of 5-element breaths, cleansing, purifying, and grounding. Do those have preferred times of days? If you're talking about the progression, so there's the progression where you go you go wood, fire, earth, metal, water. That is the expansive, that creates energy. So that's what most people are taught. The purifying, which is wood, metal, fire, water, earth, which is destroying negativity and attacking in the spirit fighting. Yes, that is best done at night, because you fight demons at night. The other kind is best done in the morning, because you wake up in the morning and you build up your energy. Jameson Colliday question continued. The order of the elements for the breaths is what I'm referring to. Yes, okay. So I was right. Qigong helped heal a serious physical condition I had. Okay, that's not a question. Congratulations. All right, I don't see any more questions. I've been on here a long time. You guys, this video's got to be like 3 hours long at this point. So I'm going to say good day to you all. And if you have any questions, again, courses.thunderwizard.com. Moses Collins question. You had stated in a previous video that we all made ourselves into this universe under the governance of Saturn. When did I say that? I'm sure I didn't use those words. Can we have human experiences? Yes. Watch this video from the beginning. Towards the end, I just went off about being human. So I don't know what it is you're talking about. I don't remember what I said. That doesn't sound like something I would say. Saturn is responsible for karma and judgment. So the influence of Saturn, which is within you, by the way, all of the planets are aspects of you. So Saturn isn't outside of you doing it to you. You're doing it to yourself. Saturn is the reflection of your own karmic understanding and the judgments that you create for yourself that you need to work through. So yes, Saturn is responsible for reincarnation. My question is, were we already all powerful and all knowing before limiting ourselves to become human? I could go off on that question for so long. The answer is, of course, yes. But the other question that you might ask, I don't know you, but the other question might be after that is, if I'm all powerful, why did I put myself through all of this? Which is, you're coming from your victim understanding. Once you can get to the understanding that you've created all of this, you start learning how to stop creating the garbage. You learn how to work through and release the limitations within yourself, which can be painful. But while all that's going on, you can also be living your ultimate fantasy, which is what I'm doing. I honestly can't imagine anything better than what I have, other than, if I had my soulmate back with me. That would be the only thing, literally the only thing I would change. Everything else is there's nothing better than what I'm experiencing. I'm so happy where I am. I love where I live. And every time I go out in it, I know that this is my fantasy that I've created onto this virtual three-dimensional world. I know that because just 3 hours south of here is a really popular place, and it was hell. I hate it there. I hate that place. And other people love it, and there's nothing, hateful about it. The energy of that place and I do not get along. I love the energy here. I love everything about it. I created this little place for me. Other people created it for themselves as well, or they wouldn't live here or vacation here. Anyway, I'm pretty sure that's where your question is going. The answer is yes. You were all powerful, but it didn't mean that you had all experience. Having all power isn't the same as having all experience. You wanted to have experience and learn, and wisdom and growth comes through experience. You can't experience everything when you're infinite. You have to limit yourself into finite reality. And you give yourself the illusion that you're out of control, and then you go, oh, that's right, I created the game. And then you start playing the game. When you get to that point, you can have all of your human problems and issues and have pain and whatever, but you get to still play the game. That's what you're here to do. Okay. So Jeannie Griffin, if you have a question, I need you to write the word question. Otherwise, I can't tell that you're asking a question and I may miss it. Mahadeva, I have a goal to start when my move across country 2 to 3 months. If I have to be on a wait list, so be it. Our plan is to build a spiritual center. I don't know what you're asking me. Is that a question? Or are you responding to what I said earlier? I don't know what you're asking. Dylan Armisen, question, what is this? Go back and watch it from the beginning. I don't know what to tell you. Why are you here? If this video isn't doing anything for you, don't watch it. Why are you wasting your time if you don't know what the hell you're doing? I wouldn't be doing that. Having said that, you're welcome to come and enjoy the channel, but, put some effort into trying to figure it out yourself. Cato Candace, question, when falling asleep, what are the people that I see? I don't know. I'd have to ask you some questions. I don't know them, and sometimes they look scary. I don't know. Could be your unconscious fears. It could be past life stuff. It could be people in your life. I honestly don't know. I would need to ask you a bunch of questions before being able to answer that. My question is, were we already all powerful and all knowing before limiting ourselves to be human? Yes, I said that already. Yes. But having said that, I can tell you have assumptions about what that means. And I'm here to tell you that your assumptions about what that means is not complete. Okay? Please write questions so I know you're asking a question, Zoned Beauty. New to your channel, will you post this in a replay? I don't have any power to post or not post anything. When this gets replayed, the live chat will be there so people can see it. It'll still be there. You can go back and watch it from the beginning. All of the questions will be here. You can see that. Hi, Jeannie Griffin. Please, no crosstalk. People are asking me questions, not you. And I say that because sometimes people will answer other people's questions and it'll be really harmful. So please don't do that on my channel. Boy, Dylan Arneson, what a pain in the ass you are. Let's see here. Yeah, man, I'm 2 seconds away from blocking this kid. So Dylan Arneson, I'm just going to go ahead and turn you off, man. You're not paying attention. You know, put some time in it later so you can figure out what this was about. Wait till it's, you know, you know, what are you, 10 years old? All right. So let's see what else. Zone Beauty question. Will you have this video saved? I already said yes to that question. Question. I need to be sure I'm on a wait. I don't know what you... Yes, the answer is yes. I'm on a wait list. I don't know what wait list you're talking about. When I get out of California, I'll have my funds in order. What are you talking about? People, put some effort into your communication. I have no idea what you're saying. All right. No more questions. All right, so that's it. All right, guys, that's it. Again, the links are up here for a reason. Use them. If you want to know what I'm talking about, go to my channel, figure out how to type in search words into my channel, not just into YouTube. You can find out, look at the playlist, put time and effort into finding out what I teach, and make use of the resources. The resources are there to help you achieve all the things. If you want what I have, you got to do what I do. Okay? That's it. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'm going to go do something fun, and I'm running out of battery, so that's it. Talk to you guys another time. Take care.